And there's me. So you won't get to see my face. Well, you might do at the end, but that's me. I'm subject librarian for medicine, and I am based in St. James's. And as I said, Terry McDonald is moderating, and she'll be keeping an eye on the chat. So for this session, we will learn how to access the desktop version of EndNote. We have two versions. There's a cloud version and the desktop. So it's the desktop we're looking at today. We'll look how to create an EndNote library. How we can then collect references to populate our library. We'll look at creating and managing groups within EndNote and the use of EndNote with Microsoft Word, which is where the whole session will kind of come together, and you'll really kind of gain an insight into how useful it is. And we'll talk then about applying different referencing styles. So what is EndNote? EndNote is software that allows you to search online databases, library catalogs, Google Scholar, and collect references centrally into an EndNote library. So essentially what you are doing when you're using EndNote is you're creating a personal database of references for whatever assignment. It could be a thesis, an essay, project, whatever you're doing. EndNote can be used with Microsoft Word and other word processors to insert correctly cited references into your documents, and it will automatically create a bibliography. This really is the true strength of EndNote. And we have access to the desktop and the online version. You can use your choice, use one or both. I would suggest using the desktop version now that you have access to it, and both will save you time if you learn how to use them. Now, EndNote itself is installed on the PCs and all TCD's computer labs, and it is free to install for all registered students and staff on personal computers during their time at Trinity. Okay, so today's class will be, number one, we'll deal with how you can install EndNote. Then we'll move on to actually using the software. So the first bit will be collecting references. So we'll have a look at various different ways you can bring references into your EndNote library. So direct export from the Web of Science and Embase. We'll look at importing PDFs. So sometimes we have researchers or students who have a folder of PDFs that they want to bring into their EndNote library. We'll show you how to do that, and we'll show you how to attach full text to your references. Then within EndNote, we will create and manage some groups, and then we'll have a look at see how EndNote and Word combine together. So we'll insert a reference into Word, we'll remove a reference, we'll have a look at the different styles, and then we'll find out how to edit or delete a citation. Okay, so if you want to increase the size of your picture, you can see it all there. And that's it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go live. I'm going to use Firefox, I think, for this. And I'll just go to the library website. Okay, so on the library website, you can just Google TCD library and it should bring you here. So tcd.ie/library. And here we have the library catalog where we can search for books and journals. And down here on the right-hand side, you will see access to EndNote. Okay, so when I click on EndNote, it takes me in. And you can immediately see the first bit is just a bit of blurb about what EndNote is. So it's a reference management software, etc., etc. There's a recording of a previous session there. Okay, so you can watch that on YouTube. And then just a bit of blurb. So the download options are here on the left-hand side. You click on download. And we have two download options. The version we are currently using is EndNote 21. And there's a Windows version and there's a Mac operating system version as well. So the Windows version actually consists of two files. When you click in, okay, we have installation and license files. So when you click those, you need to download both and do it into an empty folder on your desktop, and then you can click on the installation file, okay? If you don't download the two files, it's going to ask you for a product key or some sort, and that's just an indication that you haven't done it correctly, so just go back and download the previous file. Mac is quite straightforward. It's only one file. You click on it and it will install automatically. Okay, so it's really, really straightforward for Mac. Okay, so that's where you can download. There is an online version of EndNote, as you can see. We don't tend to use it if it has the desktop version, but it does really become useful if you want to create backups of your desktop library. So you can set up an online account and use that to back up your library. EndNote libraries don't sit well in cloud storage. Okay, so I wouldn't suggest sending it to Microsoft Cloud or whatever. Okay, so use the EndNote Online if you want to create backups. And it's also useful if you want to share your library. So if you're working in a group or whatever, and you want to share your library with other people, it's good to set up an online account as well. So the two will quite happily sync with one another. Now, the other thing here is the support page, and under support page, you see video tutorials, there's documentation, how to combine. So if you're doing your thesis, how to combine separate chapters in Word. There's a beginner's guide to the online version of EndNote, multiple bibliographies, footnotes if you're in history or those kind of disciplines where you use footnotes. There's a video there on how to do it. And then using EndNote for systematic reviews, which is big in the health sciences, of course. Okay, so that's all the information. You'll find that all on the library homepage, as I said, just there under the EndNote menu. Now, the other bit that kind of ties in quite well with EndNote, so we have the library catalog, but the other bit that ties in quite well are the databases. So these are kind of the tools we use to search for journal articles, and then we can use the features within the database to bring the references into EndNote itself. Okay, so before I reach that stage, the first thing I need to do is actually set up an EndNote library. So I'm just going to go to my Start menu. And EndNote is installed on my PC, so I just need to go in here and I should see EndNote listed, and there it is. You can see it, EndNote. Okay, so I had some libraries on here, so I just need to create a new library. So it's just like opening up Word and you need to create a new Word document. So create a new library. And I stick it on the desktop, and the default is my EndNote library, but you can change that name to whatever you want. So I'll just leave it my EndNote library, click on save. And here is the blank library. Okay. Now, this is an empty vessel, as it were. We have no references in it. And you can see the pane is divided in three. We have right, center, and left, right, left, center, and right. Okay. So when you bring the references in, they will appear in this center pane, and hence it's named the reference pane. Okay, so all your references, be they book, journal, or whatever, will list here. On the right-hand side, we have the edit pane. So if you need to edit your reference in any way, if you need to edit an author or a title or whatever, you can do that here on the right-hand side. You can also see how your reference will display in your bibliography in whatever style you have chosen. And there's a few other things you can do there. You can also see if there's attached full text as well. On the left-hand side, we have the groups pane. Okay, so what that's for is these libraries can be quite large. Now I deal with some and we can have multiple thousands, 15, 20,000 references in it. So it can be helpful to divide your library into groups. So for instance, if you're doing your thesis, you might have a group for your introduction, your chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. You can have groups for various different assignments or whatever projects you're working on. Okay, so that's a good feature with the groups. It allows you to break down your library into more manageable chunks. Okay, so we are dealing with this empty vessel, so we need to put some references into it. And primarily, the way we do that is we search in the databases that we have available in the library. If you come back to the library homepage, we're now going to go into the database page. So click on it. And here, all the databases we have access to in Trinity are listed. And you can see there are over 1,000 of them. So depending on what your subject area is, you will have databases that are relevant to you. Now, we do have multidisciplinary databases. The Web of Science, for instance, will have arts and humanities, social sciences, and the sciences in it, and Scopus is the same. And then we will have specific databases for specific subject areas. So Terry in law, my companion here, she will have law or legal databases that she can access, and I'm the health sciences librarian, and I have certain databases that I will access. Okay. But the good thing with EndNote is the way that it works with the databases is pretty generic. Once you can do it in one database, you can actually replicate it in other databases as well. So it's pretty straightforward in that respect. So the first database that I'm going to have a look at is a database called the Web of Science. And the search I'm going to do is coronavirus and vaccine and uptake. Okay, so it's the Web of Science. You can see the databases are all listed alphabetically here on the top. So I just go to W, and then I can scroll down to the Web of Science. And we have two databases. We have a core collection and all database. I'm going to use the core collection this time. Okay, so I go in, and this is the screen within which we search the database. Okay, so I've just put my search in. I put in coronavirus and vaccine, VACCIN. This is a trick you can use in most databases. So that's called a STEM, VACCIN, and asterisk indicates you can have any combination of letters after. So we'll search for vaccine, vaccinated, vaccines, all that kind of stuff, and uptake as well. So those three components must be in the results when they arrive. So I click on search. It's found 1,000 results. Okay. And these are the results. So this is the same, any search you will do yourself, you put in your search and you will get a series of results here listed below. Okay. Now, where EndNote comes in is what you want to do. Do you want to take all these results? You could take all 1,000, and if I was doing a systematic review, I would take all 1,000. Maybe you're just doing a topic where you just need a couple of relevant articles, and again, you get that option. You can tick the boxes here beside them. And yeah, so there's various different things you can do. So for the sake of this session, I'm just going to tick some boxes. Okay, so I'm going to sort 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I'm taking the first 5 references here. Now, the standard thing with EndNote is you run the search, you get your results, you indicate which results you need or want, and then you now need to connect to EndNote to bring those results in, or these studies in. Generally, what you're looking for is an export or a download option. Okay, and it generally appears just above the result list, and you can see it there just above the result list here, export. Okay, so when I click on export, it says, where do you want to bring them? To the online version of EndNote, to the desktop version, and then there's all these various other things as well. So we're bringing it to the desktop version. And again, this is where you have options. So you have selected 5, so that's the default there for the 5 I have selected, but I could bring in the 1,000 records as well. Now you can only bring in 1,000 at a time. So I'd click that, I'd bring in the first 1,000, and then I would bring in 1,001 to 1,021 in my seconds. That would bring them all in. But for this one, it's only 5. Now, the other thing here as well is what do you want to bring in? So it's telling you, say the option is, the default option is the very minimum information, author, title, and source. Source in this case will be journal title. But for screening purposes, you should always bring the abstract. Okay, so bring them into EndNote for screening, you will need the abstract. Okay, so that's just that short summary of what the article is about. Okay, so I've selected my 5 references. I've said I want to bring in the abstract as well. So I'm now going to click on export. Now we get this little green box here. So it's just getting the records ready. Okay, so we just give it a second. And there it goes. Okay. Now in Firefox, you'll also see the same in Edge. This pops up. Okay. All you need to do is click on it. Okay. Exact same. So when I click on this, it will take those records into EndNote. And there they are. Okay. So I just ran my search, selected my references, clicked on export, and then I was able to option it up there and bring them in. So these are the 5 records from the Web of Science. Okay, and it's always a good idea when you bring them in. So you see this reference pane now has references in it. Over here, if we need to make any edits, we can do it. Okay, you see you have access to all the fields. And the summary then, this is how your reference will appear in your bibliography in the APA 7th style. If you need to change style, I'll go for Vancouver and medical style, and it changes automatically. And if you need to select another style, you can go up there, and you have access to about 7,500 different styles that you can use. All the main ones here, all the main ones are kind of listed here, your APAs, your MLAs, all that kind of stuff. Vancouver, but if you need to find more, just go into select another style. Okay, so that's the first 5 references we've brought in. I'm going to go back to my browser, and I'm going to close down the Web of Science. Okay, and as you can see, we're still on the databases page here. So I'm going to have a look at a second database this time, and the second database I'm going to have a look at is a database called Embase. So it's EMBASE. And there it is listed. So we just go in. And again, much as you saw in the Web of Science, here we are with a search box. You can put in your search. And again, the exact same search. Okay, now this search is particular to me, whatever search you decide to run across your databases, but you will notice that I'm running the same search across two databases. This is what we refer to as systematic searching. Okay, so you're using the same strategy in different databases. And this is giving me 5,000, so 5 times the results I got in the Web of Science. It is a bigger database. Okay, and again, I can sort by relevance. Okay, and you can see them there. Okay, these are the studies that have been returned, and the most relevant are at the top at the moment. So again, I get the option here to select. I could select to bring in 100, 500, 5,000, or I could bring in the entirety, 1 to 5,429. But for the sake of brevity, I'm going to select the first 5, much as I did in the Web of Science. And again, much as you do in the Web of Science, you're now looking for that export or download option, and there it is. Okay, you can see it just above the result list, export. Okay, now slightly different this time. So it's saying this RIS format, which is standard for EndNote, and you see it's in brackets or in parentheses there after Mendeley or EndNote. Okay, so it's in the correct, and it's always there by default, so you never really have to select that option. Okay, so I just click on export. It takes me to this screen, then it's download, and there's that box again. So that was the one from the Web of Science. This is the one now from Embase. And if we go into EndNote, you can see there's the 5 we've brought in from Embase. Okay. You notice this first one actually doesn't have any author, so just go into the edit just to see. Okay, it seems to be quite generic, and it's not coming up as a journal either. So I might just go back and have a quick look at that. Okay, so what it is, it's a trial from clinicaltrials.gov. So that's all that's going on there. So it doesn't have that kind of information. Okay, so the other ones actually look fine. So these are journal articles, etc. You can see that everything is where it should be, the author, the year, the title here on the right-hand side, BMJ, etc. So everything looks good. Now, what you notice is we have 5 references here. So we know that we have 5 references also from the Web of Science. So this particular bit we are in, if you go over to the left-hand side, we're actually just in the imported references section. So these are the most recent references we've brought in from a database. But if you want to see all references, you just click on that one up there on the left-hand side, and that's the Web of Science and the Embase results now combined together. Okay, now Embase also works, or EndNote also works with Google Scholar. And again, I'll just close down Embase here, and we can have a look for Google Scholar. Now, Google Scholar is actually listed as one of our databases. Okay, so if you go to the G's, you should find Google Scholar. And there it is, Google Scholar. Okay. Now, Google Scholar, for those of you who don't know, is a kind of more academic version of Google. It will search kind of library and government and educational websites and research institutions, that kind of thing. So the stuff you tend to get back is quite good. And again, you can run the same kind of search. We're doing systematic search, so coronavirus, vaccine. That pipe means or. So we find vaccine or vaccination and uptake. Okay. So Google Scholar is different to the databases. Okay, so we had little boxes we could tick. Now you can do that if you have a profile set up in Google, you can save things to a library by ticking these stars. But in the absence of having a profile, you can also use the cite function. So these are the results, the studies that I've found. And after each of them, you see the cite option. Okay, now when I click on cite, it actually shows me that reference in various different referencing styles, MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver. But it also will allow me to bring the reference into various different reference management software. And you see EndNote is listed there. Okay, so if I click on EndNote for that reference, and there it is. Now, so it's just like the other ones. You just click on it, it will bring it in, and there it is. Now, the thing with references from EndNote, if you look over here on the right-hand side in the edit pane, you tend to get very, very little information, literally just the author, the year, the title, and perhaps the journal title as well. You won't get the abstract, you won't get the URL and all that other good bits and pieces. But one thing you can do is, if you bring those references in and you think they might be a bit lacking, you can ask EndNote to see if it can find updates. So I just clicked on it, it turned dark green. And if I go up to references, there's an option here to find reference updates. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, or you can just right click and there's an option there to find reference updates. So exact same thing. So I've just asked it to find an update. So what it should do is go and search the internet, and if it finds any information to update it, it will actually add it. And in this case, it didn't find anything. But by and large, it tends to work quite well. Just in this case, it's let me down. Okay, so now we have 11 references. We have the 5 from the Web of Science, 5 from Embase, and the 1 we bought from Google Scholar. Okay, now the other thing you may want to do is databases are all well and good if you want to find journal articles, trials, that kind of thing, maybe a thesis, etc., etc. But if you're looking to add book references, okay, especially for those in the arts and humanities, and you want to add book references to your library, probably the easiest way to do it is over here with this online search. Now there is an option for Trinity College Library, okay. You see it there. You can also access that up here into, or where is it actually? Is it Tools? Online Search gives you the same option there. So if you go to Tools, Online Search, it'll bring you in, Trinity College Dublin, choose, and there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to do a search for this item here. It's a book called Doing Your Research Project, and it's by an author called Bell. So I'm just going to put that in. So title is Doing Your Research Project, and the author is Bell. Click on search. Oh, actually, hold on. Okay, so now it's searching our library catalog. Now, you notice with the databases, we actually went external to EndNote and we went to the databases themselves. This particular feature, we're searching from within EndNote, but we're searching the library of Trinity College. And again, you access that through Tools and Online Search. So what it's done is it's searched Trinity's library catalog and it's found all these books by Judith Bell, Doing Your Research Project. And because we're a copyright library, we have to keep a copy of everything. You'll see various different editions here. But there is a recent one, a 24, and that's the one I want. So this isn't actually my library. This is just a set of search results like we saw in the databases. So if I want to bring this reference into my library, I just click on it, it turns dark green. And then there's this little plus button. And if you hover above it, it says add the selected online records to your local library. So that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to click that. And you don't really see anything happening. Okay, it's just the fact that you've clicked that button. But if I want to check my library, the way I do that is I go over here to the left-hand side, all references. And you know what? She hasn't been added. So I'm just going to go back and do that again. Oh, sorry, there it is, Doing Your Research Project. Okay, so there it goes. So it did come in. That was just me. I'll just get rid of some of these. I don't need them. There, Judith Bell. And what you notice is that EndNote automatically picks up on the fact that it's a book. So if you look here on the right-hand side, it's already automatically formatted as a book reference. Now, just to show if I go to a journal, that then becomes a journal. So this is how they will appear in your bibliography. Okay, so it automatically picks up on the fact that we search for a book. Okay, so one other thing that you may want to do, and I'm just going to minimize so you can see my messy desktop. One thing I want to show you is I should have a folder here with some PDFs on it, if I can find it. Gone. Hold on, just bear with me 1 second now. Just don't know what I did with it. Oh, there it is, PDF. Okay, so when I click on that folder, you go in, you see I have 4 PDF articles in there, or 4 PDFs of articles. I'll just click on one to show you. wolf in sheep's clothing, primary lung cancer mimicking benign entities. Okay, so this is what sometimes happens. You might be doing a bit of research, you come across a couple of articles or PDFs, and you put them into a folder and you go, I want to put those into my EndNote library. Okay, so there's that folder with the PDFs, the forward PDFs. So what I do is I go back to EndNote, I go to the file menu, and there's an option here to import something into your library. So what we're bringing in a file or a folder, we're bringing in a folder. Okay, so I just choose that, it's on the desktop. Scroll down, there's that PDF folder, click OK. So I've now selected the folder. The next thing you need to say, what kind of files are they? And default there is actually PDF. Okay, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So it's automatically set up for PDFs. So click on import. And you can see EndNote is now pulling in those references. Okay, so EndNote has brought those PDFs in. You can see them. The neat thing it's done, it's stripped the metadata from the PDF. So metadata is the author, the title, the year, the journal, etc., etc. So you can see all that's been done for you. What you'll also notice is beside each reference is a paperclip. And what that paperclip indicates is that the full text is attached to the reference. Okay, so how do you access the PDF? You come over here to the right-hand side and you see summary, which is this bit. There's the edit function. And here's the PDF on the right hand side. Okay, and if you want to max that up, there's an option there. Okay, so in addition to having the reference, you can also have the full text as well. Now you can create your own references as well. So if you want to create a new reference, you can go up here. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, you can find all your journal articles in the databases, but if you have a figure or an image, perhaps, or a table, you can actually save it yourself, create a reference type yourself, and you can stick it in here and you can attach the table or the image or the figure to it as well. So it can all appear like that. And then it can handle all that very well if you want to insert that image or table, whatever. Okay. And now you can see here's all our library. So went up to all references. So this is the library in its entirety. We've got the results from the Web of Science, from Embase, from Google Scholar, and we have the PDF handed in as well. And we also have the book reference from Judith Bell. Okay, so all those are there and it can all be worked with now. Okay, so just a couple of things about EndNote itself. So these fields, author, title, year, journal, last updated, etc., reference type, these are called display fields, and you can change these. Now, you got the default, you don't really want to change them too much, but if you did, all you do is right click, anything with a tick beside it is displaying, okay? And anything that doesn't, okay, so if I want to get rid of file attachments, I can untick that, or if I want to get rid of last updated, get rid of that, and now you can see them all there. And these are adjustable as well. The other thing you can do on the display fields is you can sort. So if you wanted to sort by year, you can do it that way, from the most recent to the farthest back, or from the farthest back to the most recent, by whatever way you click. You can do it by author, A to Z, Z to A, and you can also sort by title. In fact, any of the displays, you can change it by clicking up there. Okay, so you can sort. Sometimes it's handy to have it.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yes, Terry.
David, can I jump in with a quick question? So a couple of people have said that under the online search option on the left-hand side of the screen, when you click on plus, Trinity College Library isn't appearing, and I just checked it there and it's not. I'd say it's probably something to do with our catalogue being updated. We've just got a new library management system in the last 10 days or so with a new catalogue. So that might be the reason that it's not appearing there. I don't know if you've any ideas about that.
Just bear with me 2 seconds, Terry. Just I may have had to install a file. I just want to go back and check the library website. So just bear with me 2 seconds, guys. No, I'm not sure. There used to be an add-on we had to download it, but I think Greg had managed to get it in. So hold on, I'll just check tools. online search. You can find Trinity, if you can do a quick search there for Trinity College. Okay, now I have it listed in mine, but I'm not sure if I put that in myself. So that might be something I need to check up with Greg on that particular aspect of it. Like you say, Terry, because we're in the new catalog. But mine did work, so I'm not sure which catalog it's accessing. It might be accessing the old catalog. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. But that is the feature, and we'll work it on the background to make sure it does work. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'll get on to whoever needs to know kind of thing. Okay, so right, I'm going to sort by attachments here. As you can see, the ones that have file attachments. Another thing EndNote can do, in addition to sorting on all these display fields, is that you may want to attach. Now, I won't be able to attach the Bell one because that's a book. But if, say, for instance, I'll take a couple of references here. Now, if you need to select more than one reference, just keep the Control key pressed. Or if you're using a Mac, keep the Command key pressed, okay? And that will allow you to select more than one. Okay, so I'm going to ask EndNote to see if it can find the full text for all these articles. And the way it does that, if you come up here, search the web, you see it up there. I'm just hovering above it. Search the web for full text documents for the selected references. Okay, so I'm just going to ask it to see if it can find full text. So I've clicked that option. And now you see up here on the left-hand side, it's searching. And it gives you updates on how it's getting on. So it's found 2 PDFs, it's found 2 URLs, 2 were not found, and it's still searching on 2. And okay, so that's the results. So it found 3 and it found 2 URLs. Now the reason it doesn't find them, as we may not have access to the journal, I suspect that's one we don't have access to, maybe the other ones as well. But the other thing is, it's some journals are just not set up that way, and just because EndNote doesn't find it doesn't mean we don't have access. So you may just need to go back and check to see if we have access and manually add the PDF yourself. Okay, and that's quite easy to do. You just go and right click and there should be an option there to add to it. Okay, the other thing you may want to do is, if you do that systematic search in a number of different databases, chances are you may pick up a duplicate reference. Okay, so because these databases will have some journals that are quite are the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that. So what I'm going to do is I click on one reference, it's turned dark green. I go up to edit. There's an option there to select all the reference, do Control A, and that's all the references. I'm going to go up here to the library menu. I'm going to see if it can find duplicates in my library. And it's found 1. So it's found the duplicate. So you get in, you can compare them side by side, and you can get to decide which reference you want to keep. They both actually look quite good, so I'm going to keep just this one here. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. That's how we find full text. We use that feature there. We highlight the references and we use that find full text. We can sort here. Now, the other thing we may want to do is create a group. Okay, like I said, so if you're doing your thesis, you may want to do a chapter 1 group, an introduction, and groups are quite easy. You can go up here to groups menu. There's an option there, create group, and there it is, new group. So I'll just get rid of it. I'm going to call my new group must read. And enter. So there's my must read group. And when I click on it, again, it's an empty vessel. So I can add references to my must read group from my library. A couple of ways I can do that. I can select the references in my library. And again, just using keeping the Control key pressed on my keyboard or the Command key in a Mac, it allows me to select more than one reference. Now I've got the option here to go up to groups. I can add references to my group. So I only have one group listed, so I can add it to must read. Or the other option is to hold the click and drag them over. Okay, so my must read now has those 4 references. You notice that the references actually remain in the library as well. And this is to facilitate a reference being in a number of different places. So for instance, if you're doing your thesis, you may have a reference in your introduction and in your chapter 1 and your conclusion, and that will allow us to do that there. Okay, so there's my must read with the 4, but I can also go back to my main library, and there's all 15 references listed there. Okay. Now, the other thing then, so this is kind of EndNote and how you work it. So as you can see, we need to populate the library, and we can do that in various different ways. We can search library catalogs, we can use search databases. We can actually manually add the references ourselves, so just reference, new reference. But to work with Microsoft Word, you do need references in the library, okay? Now, the second part then of this is I'm going to show you how all this comes together in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to open up a blank document. And this feature that works with EndNote is called a Cite While You Write feature. And when you install EndNote on your Mac or your PC, you notice now that in your Word or your Microsoft process, or in your Word processor, in Word, in Microsoft Word, it becomes a menu option, EndNote 20. I think in Macs or an Apple Mac or the Mac operating system, it actually appears as a ribbon on the documents, okay? But in Microsoft Word, it's actually a menu option, as you can see here. Now, I just need some text on the page. Okay, so we have some text. And like I said, it's a cite while you write feature. So literally, as you are writing, you can put your citations or your references into your documents, okay? When you're putting references into a Word document, the first thing you need to do is actually indicate where you want the reference to go. And when it comes to referencing, we generally put it before punctuation, so before a full stop or before a comma, for instance. So what I'm going to do for this first sentence, video provides a powerful way to help you prove your point. I created a space there at the end of that sentence, and I'm going to put a citation in there. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can put the references in. I'll go up here to insert citation or insert reference, and there's an option there, insert citation. Okay, so this pops up. So, okay, I might want to do that again. So insert citation. I don't know what the EndNote error is. I'll just close down my library for a second and open it up again. Sometimes that's all it needs. There we go. Okay, so insert citation. And we're going to do you remember I looked for Bell, the book? So I'm just going to say find Bell, do a new research project. Okay, and I just want to insert that. And in it goes. Okay, and it was that quick. Now the style I'm currently using is the Vancouver style, which is a numbered style, as you can see, but it's also putting it in the bibliography as well. Okay, so if I want to change that to an author date style, for instance, the APA, it now becomes author date, as does the bibliography. Okay, and you can choose, like I say, you have all those, select another style that will give you access to 7,500. Now, mainly journal styles, but they're all there. Try a Turiban, that's a footnoting style. Okay, so I'll just stick it back at APA, author date, and there you can see it. Okay, so we'll try a few more references this time. So I'm going to go to the end of the first paragraph, galleries, full stop. Now this time I'm going to do it a slightly different way. Rather than go up to insert citation, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go back to my EndNote library and select the references that I want. So go back to my EndNote library. I'm going to use Bell again, and I'm going to select 2 other references. Okay, and again, I just use the control key or the command key, and that allow me to select 3 there. Now, if I want to put those into my Word document, you see that option there? It's like the double quotes. So that will allow you to insert a citation for each reference selected, and you can sort up to 250 at a time. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, and there you go. Okay, so those 3 references are now gone in. So what I did there was I selected the 3 and I just clicked on that, and that brought them in into my Word document. And if you come down, there they are. Okay. And that's how straightforward it becomes. Now, the other thing you may want to do is, say, for instance, you are doing a book reference, if you want to put in the page numbers. Okay, so if you want to do that, this is the book reference bell. So I go up to edit and manage citations, and there's an option here for a suffix. So I put a comma, page, whatever it is. It could be a page range or it could be just the page in itself. So I put page 6, click OK, and that goes in there. Okay, so that's just the edit and manage, select a reference, edit and manage, and then there's a suffix that if you want to add a page range. The other thing you may want to do is get rid of references that you've inserted using EndNote. Okay, what you notice when I click these, you see that they turn gray. So anything that EndNote has input into the document turns gray when you click on it. Okay, what that indicates is you can't see it yourself, but it's actually XML. So there's actually tags either side of this with XML, and it allows it to work with EndNote. The reason I mentioned this is you don't have to remember all this, is it just means that you cannot say bell was spelled incorrectly and it was meant to be something. You can't just go in there and delete the bell. It will actually destroy your document. So say, for instance, bell was meant to be ball, and you want to change that. The only way you can do that is to go back to your library. You go into the bell reference and you go to edit, and you see there's Judith Bell. So I'm just going to change bell to ball and save that. Now I come back here, still displaying as bell, and I just go up here to update citations and bibliography, and you now see it becomes ball, and it becomes ball there. Okay, so don't go in there and start deleting things and trying to change things. The only place you can change it is back here in your library. Okay, and that goes for the bibliography as well. So when you go down to the bibliography, you notice that that turns gray as well, and ball changed there as well. Okay, now the other thing then that has implications then if I want to get rid of, say for instance, in this second place where I put references, say for instance I wanted to get rid of ball there, say that was a mistake. So I can't just go in and delete it. So if I want to get rid or remove a reference, the way I do it, I just go to where it is and highlight it. It turns gray. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this ball. Okay, so I'll highlight it. It's turned gray. So again, it's edit and manage. And there it is because I've highlighted it here. It's highlighted here. And then there's an option to remove citation or remove reference. So I click that option, click OK, and it's removed it from there. Okay, now it's still in the bibliography because we still have a ball reference up here. Okay, if I get rid of this ball reference, okay, so again, I click on it, edit and manage, and that's the one that's highlighted again. So again, it matches what you've highlighted. So I'm just going to remove, click OK, and that's the last bell reference or ball reference gone. So that means when I go down to the bibliography, it's now being removed from the bibliography as well. Okay, so that's how you can input and remove the references from your Word document. Now, this particular document, I like to refer to it as the master document. So this is the one that's directly connected to your EndNote library. So the two are intimately connected now because of these XML tags. Okay, so this document is the one you make backups of as well, all right? The nice thing about this document is it has its own EndNote library. Okay, so for instance, if you deleted your EndNote library, all the references in this document can be taken out and put into a separate EndNote library. It's called a traveling library, and it travels with your Word documents, so they can be extracted at any time. Okay, now I'm going to save this onto the desktop. Okay, so that's now being saved onto the desktop. Now, the reason I'm saving it onto the desktop is just to say, if you try, or if you send this to somebody else, like for instance, they don't have access to your library or EndNote, whatever, sometimes the document may not appear quite correct. Okay, so in that instance, you may just want to send a plain Word document. Okay, so you might send it to your supervisor, or maybe you're getting your thesis bound and you just want to send a plain Word document, and that's perfectly okay. So this document can be converted at any time. Get rid of the XML tags by converting to a plain document. And the way you do that is you just go up here to convert citations and bibliography. And if you click the down option, there's an option there to convert to plain text. I'm going to select that option. And what it says, I've already have a backup, so I'm just going to click on continue. And we should now have 2 copies, hopefully 2 copies. Okay, so this is the newer version. And when you see it, okay, you notice that nothing turns gray. Okay, so this is just a plain Word document. Okay, and that's the one you can send to your supervisors, etc., etc.
Can I ask a
Okay,
quick question on behalf of one of the students here, or one of the attendees here? So Nick has asked, can I edit the Word document without having EndNote opened as an application?
Yeah, you can edit the document, the Word aspect of the document. Yes, that's not a problem. The only thing I might be wary of is cutting and pasting, or copying and pasting, especially if there's an EndNotes bit within it, references within it. So if it was copy and paste, I might actually just get rid of all those references, copy it, and then reinsert them in that instance. But apart from that, if you just need to, anything else you can work away with, it's just the bits that turn gray you can't touch. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, Terry, is I'm actually...
Just one more question, sorry, David. Lynn has asked, please explain how EndNote works in relation to having many versions of the same document.
It doesn't. You should really just use one document.
Yeah.
And one library, because EndNote won't know which document to connect to. You're just confusing the software. It may connect to the most recent, or it may, it's not a good idea to have multiple copies of the same document all linked to the same EndNote library. So what I would do is maybe consolidate into one document.
Okay, that's all the questions. Thanks.
But there is that other thing, if you have separate documents all with different bibliographies, you'll find support for that in the EndNote support pages. So how to combine multiple bibliographies, that's an option there. So we'll explain how you can do it there. So for instance, for instance, you did your thesis and you did them all as separate EndNote documents, your chapter 1, your introduction, and they're also, you can combine those together. EndNote can do that for you, okay. Okay, so that's basically me finished. The only other thing I would say, sorry, just saw that last question pop up. What was it? Just to make sure, the Word document will get a separate folder in EndNote. No, it doesn't. So you can edit multiple essays all separately managed by EndNote. Yes, you can have multiple essays all managed by EndNote. Yes, of course you can. What I would do in that instance is actually create a group for each essay or each assignment, and just yeah. So that's fine. You can work that way. Yeah. Okay, you're welcome, Jonathan. And the only other thing I would say is if you're having particular issues in your subject area, you can contact your subject librarian about the resources that are in use in your area. If you're using EndNote Online, will it appear in your Word doc? Yeah, EndNote Online is just an online version of EndNote. It does the exact same thing, except that you're not accessing it on your desktop. That's the only difference. How can I know how I can? You can get. I show you. You just. Sorry, just to show you again where you can download it. Sorry, just share my screen again. Okay, sorry, I'm back. I got lost there for a minute. I am back again. Okay, guys, yeah, that's me. Sorry, one last thing I did want to show you is where you can access your subject librarians if you do need to contact them. Okay, so just share my screen again. Okay, to contact your subject librarians, you'll find them there on the library homepage. And all the subjects are listed there. So if there's any particular aspects around your databases, which ones you should be using, which ones work with EndNote, you can contact your librarians and they should be able to give you a dig out. Okay. That's it. So apart from that, guys, thank you so much for your time. If you want to attend another session, by all means, that's perfectly accepted. We know people download the software, they play around with it, and then they come back just to see, get to bone up to see if there's any additional information that they can gain from the session. And you're perfectly entitled to attend more than one session. There is also the recording available. So you can have access to that. And again, you can just flip to the bit of the recording that's relevant to you. Maybe you just want to see how it works with Word. You can just skip to the end, or maybe you want to see how it works with the databases. You can skip into that bit as well. So all that's available for you as well. But apart from that, good luck with your studies and good luck with your referencing in the future. Hopefully it's going to be very, very nice with the use of EndNote. But again, these things will take a little bit of practice as well. So make sure you kind of use them on your easier assignments, and that way you can build up if you need to use it for a long form document like a thesis or something like that. But apart from that, everyone, thank you so much for your time. And don't forget to come into the library and attend some more of our sessions as well.